So for the first time since March 5th, 2020, the Ottawa Senators get to play a team south of the border. And with the Sens' 3-2 win against the Dallas Stars last night, they have now not been defeated at home against American teams since February 6th, 2020, where they lost 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche. Alright, so lineup notes in this one, very much predictable. For the Ottawa Senators, Victor Mete comes out like I assumed, and Michael Del Zotto comes in for him. He does make his Ottawa Senators debut. Filip Gustavsson gets the start in net. Anton Forsberg backs up after playing in the first 2 games of the season. No surprise there. Anton Khudobin, a guy who plays very well against the Ottawa Senators, gets the start for the Dallas Stars. So this game would get underway, and I found Ottawa was really good in the first 10 minutes or so, maybe even longer, 12 minutes even. Josh Norris, he had a chance early on in that first period. The puck was loose in the crease there, but Khudobin would get the glove down and make a save pretty much on the goal line. And despite the Sens playing really well the first 12 minutes of the game, they would have a defensive lapse and give up a goal to Michael Raffl, 4:34 into the first period. That one was assisted by Alexander Radulov and Radek Faksa. And again, I talked about this last game about the Sens always leaving the most dangerous guy wide open. They always seem to do that in their own end. That's something they're going to have to fix going forward here. This was another case of that. Holden and Tierney, they almost look confused. They both want to go to the guy behind the net, Radulov, and then they leave the most dangerous guy out in front, Michael Raffl, who would score on Gustavsson. The Stars did get their first goal on their first shot. I was a little bit worried about Gustavsson after that, just because, you don't know what that can do to a goalie's psyche. You're in the game. It's your first game of the season if you're Filip Gustavsson, and you give up the first goal on the first shot. But fortunately, he would bounce back. Speaking of bouncing back, Nick Paul would score 50 seconds later on his former team with a beautiful backhand shot that went in and out of the net so quickly. I didn't know Nick Paul could make a shot like that. It was definitely a pleasant surprise. And the assists on that goal go to Connor Brown and Artem Zub. Brown picks up his first point of the season. Dallas would get a power play in that first period, and even though the Sens killed it off really well and didn't allow the Stars to even get a shot on it, I found that did give the Stars some momentum because they started to feel the puck more. They played a little bit more in the offensive zone. And then they kind of turned the table around on Ottawa, and then they were in the Sens zone more than what the Sens were early on in that period. So we go to the second, and Dallas takes a 4-minute double minor high sticking. And Chris Tierney would cash in on it to get his second of the season. The assists go to Shane Pinto and once again Connor Brown, and that goal came 9 minutes and 20 seconds into the second. Later on in that second period, Dallas would take another penalty. Chris Tierney pulls a Groundhog Day on them, scores again, his third of the season. And Connor Brown would factor into this goal as well, as he would get a secondary assist. Zach Sanford gets the primary assist. And that goal came with exactly 1 minute left in the second. Chris Tierney has 3 goals this season, and he has not shot any of them into the net with his stick. And yes, one might say Chris Tierney has had an insane amount of luck to start the season, but you also have to give him credit for going to the hard areas and getting rewarded. I do want to mention just before the power play where Tierney got his second goal, Radek Faksa, this was not a penalty, by the way. The penalty was a trip on, I believe Josh Norris got tripped up. But Radek Faksa, he slashes Tim Stützle on the wrist, and he slashed him on the part of the wrist where you have no protection. Stützle would go down the tunnel. He did come back, though, eventually, so that's a good sign. Even though he finished the game, hopefully there are no ill effects, and that won't affect his shooting or anything like that going forward. Radek Faksa was fined $5,000 today. I believe that is the right call by the league. Well, I don't believe Faksa meant to slash Stützle on the wrist. I do believe he definitely meant to slash him. We go to the third period in Ottawa. They're holding a lead. They have a chance to show that they're better than what they were Thursday night when they played against Toronto, and they had a 3-0 lead. This one was a 3-1 lead. And they didn't play very good in that third period. They allowed 25 shots, so hopefully they don't do the same here. And while the Sens did play a lot better in this third period than they did Thursday night against Toronto, I still think they spent a little too much time in their own zone and maybe gave up a few too many shots. One of those shots would be a Joe Pavelski goal. He would score with 5:43 left in the third period. Radek Faksa wraps the puck around. There was like 3 Ottawa Senators there in the goal crease, and somehow Joe Pavelski is able to get a stick on that puck to put it in the back of the net. And while the Sens didn't exactly leave Joe Pavelski open, I mean, he kind of came in out of nowhere and got that puck. Still, those 3 guys in front of that have to have much better awareness than that. You can't have 3 Senators players in front of the net and you still get scored on. That just can't happen. Dallas would pull Anton Khudobin for the extra attacker with about 1:30 to go, I believe, 1:20 maybe. And the Sens, I thought they did a really good job of not allowing Dallas to get a lot of chances, really no chances at all. Heck, the Stars even had a hard time setting up in the Senators zone, and that's something that they kind of struggled with in 6-on-5 situations last year. But the Ottawa Senators hang on to win this one 3-2 in regulation. That seems to be the only way they win games. The only score they win games by is 3-2 so far in this season. Last year it took Ottawa till Game 11 to get their second win. Thankfully this year they get it in Game 3. Now, Nick Paul, I thought this guy was outstanding. By far had his best game of the season. Nick Paul's been a real revelation for me because he's a guy that I think, or I thought early on anyways, did not have as much offense. I mean, I still don't think he's ever going to be a big point producer, but I think he is going to be a guy who can produce at a decent rate. He's got better hands than people think. He skates better than people think as well. Pinto and Nick Paul were the Sens' best players tonight. I thought Philip Gustafsson was also very good. Gustafsson, like I mentioned earlier, gave up the first goal on the first shot. That could have shaken a young goalie easily, but he looked really calm in the net after that, very controlled, didn't get flustered at all, and that was a really good thing to see. And Matt Murray's going to want to hurry back for Thursday night against San Jose because his job is kind of looking like it's in jeopardy with the way Forsberg and Gustafsson have played so far. And while the Sens' young centers got cleaned out by the Stars' veteran centers the first half of the game, I thought they had a really strong showing in the face-off dot the second half of the game. One thing I would like to see Ottawa clean up going forward, though, is to not give up so many shots against. I still find they spend a little too much time in their own zone, or at least they have the first 3 games of the season anyways. That's something they're going to want to rectify going forward. Dallas had 17 shots in the second, 13 in the third. They outshot the Sens 13-5 in the third. Well, I thought Ottawa played decent enough to get the win in this game. I still think they can definitely be better. They have another gear to get to. So those are my thoughts on this game. Please let me know what you all think in the comment section below. Also, please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.